It wasn't doing anything because it had that dialog box hidden behind the screen that I hadn't seen. Okay, now it should be trying to save its backup file. It wasn't going to continue on until I hit the OK button on that error dialog box. I thought something was going on because, like I said, I monitor my my computer system on a separate screen over here on my tablet. And I'm looking at my hard drive space and thinking it's not going up, and it should be saving out the file. So I knew something was up. Eventually. I've still got to try and work out for you guys what I'm going to work on next once we finish this scene though. At the moment the weather here has been way too sunny and bright for me to take any photos for photogrammetry. Like I said to you guys, taking photographs, if you want to do photogrammetry, you really need an overcast day. You can't really have any direct sunlight. You don't want shadows happening on whatever you're taking a photo of. Yeah, it does happen, that's right, Sniper Echo. So I really haven't had a chance to take any photos for photogrammetry. Let's load up View again. I'm just going to wait for it to purge my memory here. Again, I can see my memory usage here on my separate screen. I'm just going to check my task manager to make sure View has actually closed down. Yep, it's closed down, that's good. Okay, let's reopen View again. See now, this is a good example for you guys. It's saying View has located a file that was created in an attempt to rescue your work after a server error, or a severe error, sorry. Now it does warn you that the file may not be valid because the system is in an unstable state when it saved the file. Generally though, the file should be okay, so we're going to say yes, we want to try and load the rescued file. I mean, it's not a huge deal if it wasn't a valid file, because all we did was add 2 new trees to our scene. We've still got our original file intact. But so View is going to now try to load up our backup that it automatically created for us. Come on, View. Again, remember with this file, guys, it's a very large file because the scene is at nearly 2 billion polygons, so even a load is going to take a little while. Now, if that happened and you clicked no, you could still load up the backup file, like I said, by browsing to wherever you saved your original file, and you'll look for a file called .bak. That's the backup that it automatically makes. And again, I'm just looking to the side here to make sure that it is actually loading something up. What were we talking about? Oh, that's right, photogrammetry, what I'm going to work on next. I haven't had a chance to take the photos because the weather's been too good. And today, the weather has been, we're in the middle of a heat wave over here at the moment, so it's very hot and very sunny. If we get a cloudy day and I have the time from the studio, then I'll take some photos and we'll do some photogrammetry work. Failing that, we will probably end up taking this model, this Garden Terrace, into the Unreal Engine, because again, like I said, I know a lot of you guys like to use Unreal and you like to work with game stuff, so I'd like to show you the procedure you'd use to take a model like the Garden Terrace into the Unreal Engine, because you have to do it differently to the way we exported it to View. So if I don't get an opportunity to take photos and do some photogrammetry stuff before we finish this project, then I'll take this Terrace. The next project we'll be doing will be taking the Terrace into the Unreal Engine and setting the model up in Unreal. It is gradually increasing the memory here, so it's loading something up. Yeah, so if I don't get a chance to take photos and I can't show the photogrammetry before we finish this project, then we'll be taking this Garden Terrace and setting it up in Unreal. If I do get a chance to take some photos, then we'll be doing some photogrammetry work. I'll be showing you how that's done. And yeah, we'll take it from there, whether I create a new 3D model in Max based on that photogrammetry stuff that I've done, that I do, or what. We'll find out when I do it, whatever I do. But yeah, that's the plan at the moment. If I can, I'll take photos. We'll do photogrammetry next. If that's not possible, then we'll probably end up taking this model and setting it up in Unreal. And then I'm sure down the track there'll be an opportunity for me to take some photos and show you guys the photogrammetry stuff anyway. It is still loading up, trust me. I can see my RAM usage going up gradually. Again, no, this is... yeah. That's the plan of action anyway. I always like to sort of think about what I'm going to be doing for you guys on stream. I don't want to have no idea. I think that's probably the best course of action for us. If I can, I'll take the photos for photogrammetry. If I can't, we'll take this model into Unreal. Either this model or one of my other models. I mean, I do have quite a portfolio of 3D models I've created, so it would be interesting to see the renders in Unreal, I agree. It'd be good to do a comparison of the Unreal lighting to the renders we do in Eon View to see what the difference between the two is. Remembering that the Unreal Engine is a full-on atmospheric rendering engine and the Unreal Engine is a real-time 3D rendering engine. But it would be interesting to see the difference, I agree. And like I said, I'd really like to do some more work with Unreal because it's been a little while since I've used it. And they've made a lot of improvements to it, so I'm keen to see what it's like now. While that's loading in, I'm going to go to my web page here. I'll show you something I did do in Unreal. The last project I worked on in Unreal, which was a personal project, it wasn't for a client, which is why I can show it to you, because a lot of the stuff I do for clients I'm under NDA and can't talk about or show you. It's on my YouTube channel, but not my Phil Does 3D YouTube channel. It's on my Philip Fair one. So while we're waiting for that to load in the background, we may as well check out this this thing I did. And I did this in UDK, which was just prior to Unreal. You probably call it Unreal version 3. This one here. So UDK, this was created in UDK, but it was on the Unreal Engine just before they released the Unreal 4 version that is current at the moment. This is just some concept art that I created for this building. So I show you the concept artwork, which was created first before the model was created, and then once the model was created, the environment was set up in UDK and animated. You see the trees have wind animation on them. We're using a depth of field. Color correction is a color correction filter has been applied to it as well. I'm just reducing the resolution here because I'm looking at OBS and noticing that my broadcast quality is declining. So we'll reduce the size as well to help it out as much as we can. Hey Heather, thanks for popping into chat, good to see you. Yeah, like I was explaining guys, this is an environment fly through that I created using UDK. So I'm keen to use the new Unreal engine. Are you talking about the this, or are you talking about the one that we're rendering up in Eon View, Heather? Either way, thank you. But if it's not rendering out properly for you, if you can't see the video really well on the stream, then feel free to go to my YouTube channel and check the video out there. It's been up online for quite a while. So, oh, okay, no problem, Heather. Yeah, well, View program crashed on us while we were working on some trees, so we were just waiting for it to load up in the background. I thought I'd show some work that I did in the UDK, the Unreal Engine version 3, I think this was, not version 4, which is current. While we waited for my my file to reload up in the background again. Yeah, it would be. I could probably do this again in the new Unreal Engine. Convert the UDK version of this fly through to the new version of the engine, see what that looks like. Something called red texture maps to modify, but no, I don't want to reload them. So let's see how View did here with loading up our backup file in the background. Again, we're going to give View just a couple of minutes here to organize itself, because again, we're working with 2 billion polygons, so it's going to take the program just a little while to work out what's going on and where. Worst comes to worst and it doesn't load the file incorrectly, then we'll just jump back to the last version before we imported the trees. No, we didn't lose too much here though, because you guys know I'm a very big fan of making regular saves as I work. I don't work for a week on end before I remember to save my file properly, so every time I make a major change to a project, I save out a version, so it looks fine. And this is one of the advantages of View. If you do use it and it does crash, it automatically tries to back up to your last file so you don't lose any work. And as you can see here, we didn't lose any work, so it's all good. I'm just wait for it to let me select something. It's still working out what it's doing, even though it looks like it's completely loaded up. Until those buttons start highlighting, you can't actually do anything. It's still doing something. Yeah, but View will try and back up your file for you if it does crash. And generally the backup will save that it saves out will be good to use again, so. But still, that's no excuse for you guys not to regularly save your work, which is what I always recommend. Come on, View. You generally know when it's finished loading up its scene because you'll see the polygon count and stuff down here in the corner. But like I said, even if it didn't save our backup correctly, we have our last version, and the only thing we did was import these 2 trees, so it wouldn't be a huge deal for us to do that again. But yeah, so getting back to what the project we'll work on once we finish this one, more than likely it will be something to do with the Unreal Engine, because like I said, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to take the photos for the photogrammetry. I'm just going to pull up the last render so that Heather can see what our scene looks like so far. So we started by importing our model, And we set up our ground for it, our grassy ground for it to sit on. Let's wait for that to load up. Come on, view. After that, we loaded in, we set up our background trees around the outside of the garden terrace. Then after that, we put some flowers on either side of our terrace here. Then after that, we spread some leaves down along the path, and then after that, we put some side. Yeah, you're going to keep doing that to me, aren't you? So, garden terrace, ground, trees in the background, flowers on either side to draw your eye into the model. Spread leaves down the path. And then we brought in these two terrains, rocky terrains that we're going to place our trees on. So that's where we're up to now. We've just pulled in our two trees here. Positioned them where we wanted them. The only thing I was thinking was I want to pull up the second tree on the right here to be a little bit higher. Something like that. Let's do another test render now that we have our scene set up with our trees pulled in. So again, remember guys, these renders that I'm showing you, no Heather, this is Eon View, VUE. Eon is a company that makes environment software, and that's what this is. It just creates 3D environments for you. But the next project after this one, I'm going to do some work with the Unreal Engine, because I know a lot of you guys like to work in Unreal. So once we're finished doing our beauty renders in this program, then we'll do some work in Unreal. Remember guys, this render you're looking at now that it's doing is a very, very low quality preview render. So don't judge the scene on what you're seeing at the moment, because this is a really low quality render. We won't do the final high quality render until we've completely finished putting our objects in our scene. Oh, okay, yeah. A lot of people, it's new for a lot of people. The company has been around for a long time. The software's been around for a long time. A lot of movie studios have used it. It's been used in the cinematic movies like Avatar and the Terminator 4 movie, I think it was used in. So a lot of movies use Vue to render out their environments for their scenes. But it's a good piece of software. There's nothing really like it on the market. You can download a free version called the Personal Learning Edition from their website. So if you wanted to try it out, they have a free version you can download and install and play around with. And as you guys know, I've been encouraging you all to do that. So download the software from their website, install it and play with it, the Personal Learning Edition. See if you like it. I'm just going to, my tablet rebooted, so I'm going to, everything seems to be crashing today. I'm going to pull up my monitoring program for my PC again. So yes, this program is Eon View. You use it to create 3D environments for your 3D objects. I'll have to look at Heather's art station actually. I'll have to check out your art station too, Heather. I always like looking at the work you guys do. So yeah, this software is just to create 3D environments. You can download a free version from Eon's website. Once we've finished doing the final renders in this, we're going to be taking the render into Photoshop to do color correction on. Sorry guys, I know I'm a bit distracted here. I just want to get this program loaded up. yeah, once we're finished doing our, these are preview renders just so we can test what our environment looks like. Once we're finished doing our preview renders, we'll do a final render with 2 cameras, this one which is pulled back and another camera where we're going to pull up closer to the model. And then I'm going to create one more render which is a widescreen render. We'll take those 3 renders into Photoshop and then we'll be doing color correction on them. Because like I was saying to you guys, in a studio environment, they always do color correction. They never take a raw render and use it. Heather says, which did you find? Oh, you're talking to Sniper, okay. And Heather says, thanks Phil, I want to start really working with environments. I'd be happy to see you work in Unreal. You're not very comfortable with it yet? Okay, well fine. Like I said to you guys, I'm on Twitch to work, to encourage you guys to do 3D. Obviously Heather does artwork anyway, which is great. So I'm here to encourage you to do, anyone that hasn't tried doing 3D to do 3D, because you're not going to know if you're good at it unless you try, and you're not going to get better at it unless you practice. So that's the whole reason I'm on Twitch, and if I can work in a program that you guys either aren't familiar with and want some help with, or would like to see me working in, like with the Unreal Engine, I'm happy to do that. It's one of the reasons too I like to use Vue, because again it's a program not a lot of people have used or are familiar with. It can be a bit intimidating and can get you, and your renders can really take a long time if you don't really know what settings to use. Okay, do you mind if I check out your ArtStation, Heather? I don't want to do it if you feel uncomfortable. I'd like to look at your work, but if you don't want me to show it on stream, Heather, I'm happy to look at it after the stream. But you let me know if you prefer that I look at it after the stream, or if you're happy for me to show everybody watching what your ArtStation work is like. I'll leave it up to you. You tell me in chat. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. So yeah, you let me know, Heather, if it's okay for me to open up that link on stream, or if you prefer I look at that after the stream. You sure you're okay with it? Most is student work? Okay, well cool. Like I said, I love looking at the work that you guys do. That's one of the reasons I'm on Twitch. So let me open up Heather's link here. Oh, Heather, just a second, Heather. Don't post any links until I add you as a regular to Nightbot, okay? So just hold off on posting any links just for a second, Heather. I will add you as a regular in Nightbot, so he won't time you out or ban you. Just give me 2 seconds. Remember, guys, I love looking at your work, but remember, if you aren't a regular, you must tell me so I can add you, otherwise Nightbot will time you out. And no one likes to be timed out by Nightbot. So. You should be good now if you want to post any links, Heather. Sorry about that. No, you feel free to do it. Now that I've added you as a regular to Nightbot, you have my permission to post links in the chat. It's just if I haven't added you as a regular, Nightbot would time you out, but you're good to go now. So if you want to post a link, go right ahead, go for it. So this is a shotgun that Heather has worked on. Yeah, it does. Nightbot, just ask Smurfberry Barbecue. He'll tell you all about Nightbot. He hates Nightbot. It's timed him out. But I fixed that for Smurfberry as well. So you guys watching that were seeing Smurfberry yesterday complaining about Nightbot timing him out for posting symbols, I fixed that for him. And for all you guys that are regulars, you can post symbols and all that sort of stuff now as well. Sniper Echo says, Heather, don't worry about Nightbot, he blocks some of us regulars randomly. Yeah, he shouldn't. I've gone over Nightbot yesterday afternoon after the stream to make sure that he's behaving well and he's not being mean. Because like I said to you guys, even some of the, when he times people out, some of the messages he writes are really rude. And look, now Nightbot is spamming you with my links, and this is what I was saying. It's got a mind of its own, that program. Anyway, you're good to go, Heather. You can post links. You can Sniper Barbecue can post all of his symbols that he wants to post. Nightbot won't time him out, or any of you guys that are regulars now. So feel free. This is really nice, Heather. You're saying this is a student project? Very, very, very well done. Really nice work. Really nice. No, it's not an AI. It's not an AI. I just like to pretend it is. It's not. It's just a program that runs that has a set of rules that it follows. It's just learning how to control its settings to make it do what you want it to do. That's a bit difficult with Nightbot. I thought this was your gun. Isn't this your gun, Heather? Whose work am I looking at? Am I not looking at your work, Heather? If you did the gun, Heather, the gun is great. Whoever did the gun is great. I don't know if Heather did it, wonderful work. Whoever did it, wonderful work. Texturing is very nice. Very nice. The model is very nice as well. And Heather says, oh, that one was an art test for a current job. I learned a lot about modelling texturing since then. Well, I'm impressed. I think it looks great. The gun looks really, really nice. Nice work. Really nice work. Nice texturing work. I always like seeing you. I like seeing all the work that you guys do, even if it's just an occlusion render. But a textured model really brings something to life. So I especially like seeing textured stuff. It's a replica of a real-life gun that has 7 barrels. Geez, really? Yeah, it's very nicely done. The texturing's very nice. You're welcome. Like I said, and I like seeing the work that you guys done textured. It's always helps to texture up your models. It really helps bring them to life. Like I said, if you're not comfortable doing texturing, practice, because you'll get better at it the more you do. This is not for you, Heather. This is for other people watching. If you're not comfortable doing texturing, you just want to show me something you've done in 3D. I'm happy to look at anything, even if it's not textured. Don't feel you have to texture it. I'm just saying texturing your models will really help bring them to life. 3 on the front, 4 on the back. Okay. I'm not really up on guns, so I don't really know much about what you mean, but I'll take your word for it. But the model itself is very nice. I really do like the texture work. It does. The gun does look amazing, and thank you for letting me show it on stream, Heather. I do appreciate that. Okay, our preview render is finished here, so let's check it out. I want to check the positioning of the trees here. Remember, I didn't want the trees to occlude too much of our model. This position of this tree is okay. This one, I'm still umming and ahhing about. Remember, we're still going to put a background in here as well, and I want to put something in the foreground. So, just before we start moving things again, I'm going to take a quick break just for a few minutes, guys. What I'm going to do is, while I'm grabbing a fresh cup of coffee, I'm going to save out the file again, because remember, it's going to take 4 or 5 minutes to save. because we're working with the backup, the automatic backup that Vue made. So let's save out a new version, so we don't have to rely on this backup that Vue made. And while it does that, I'm going to grab a fresh cup of coffee. So, and this is what I mean by saving in increments, guys. I'm going to not overwrite my original file name. I'm going to work the same way I did when you saw me creating the Garden Terrace in 3D Studio Max. I'm going to create an incremental save. So if I go into my Garden Terrace folder here, you'll see I'm up to version 3 at the moment. You probably can't see it too well. Let me go into list view. So I have my beauty render, then R2, then R3. I'm going to save this one as R4. And then when I've finished creating the scene, I'm going to save it as Garden Terrace Beauty _ final, and then I'll delete my old files. So while it's saving out, I'm going to take a quick break and grab a fresh cup of coffee. I will be back in a few minutes, and then we'll continue on with putting a few more things in our scene here, I think. So I'll be back in just a few minutes, guys. Okay. It's still saving out, but it shouldn't take it too much longer, hopefully. I know you can't see it because I'm in the way, but it's saving out down there in the... down there. Thanks for popping into chat, Heather, too, and for showing your work to everybody. I really do like looking at your work, like I said, guys, so thank you. And for watching me stream. All you guys watching, thank you very much. So we're saving out our second version here as revision 4 because this is a backup that we're looking at the moment that Vue created because the program crashed. Again, thankfully Vue has the option that it will automatically try and back up whatever you were working on before it crashes out. So. And again, remember guys, the file saves and loads take a while in Vue because you're looking at nearly 2 billion polygons for this scene at the moment. So they're not 2 million, 2 billion. So just bear that in mind if you get frustrated that Vue takes so long to save and load your files. It's working with a lot of data. But yeah, no, getting back to the chat though, Smurfberry Barbecue will be happy when he comes back to the chat again next, that he can spam his symbols and stuff without being timed out by Nightbot. And that goes for all you guys. Try not to, I mean, don't spam my chat with symbols if you can avoid it. But I have made all you regular guys able to post links and to post symbols and things in chat. So don't abuse it. Okay, we're at 99.9%. It's finished saving out. Now let me just have a look at our last render again so I can get an idea as to what I want to do. This tree is okay, I like the position of it. This tree... Yeah, I'm not sure about this tree on this side, whether I want to pull it in or not. I want to try and avoid as much as I can covering up the model in the background, because remember again guys, one of the conditions for me putting my models on Cornucopia, apart from having a square render for them, is that I can't occlude the model too much, because they really are only interested in you showing what it is you're trying to sell. Okay, now one change we can make right off the bat here, I'm just jumping between our last render and the one where we put the trees in, looking at the difference it's making with the shadows. You can see in the background the sun is starting to throw shadows from those trees on the model in the background. And one thing you always really should do if you're working in Eon View, which we haven't done yet, I showed you guys my settings for my render settings, but I didn't actually talk about the sunlight. So in View, you have this sun object. which is basically simulates where the sun is in the sky. So if I pull back a bit here, you'll see where it is in relation to my model. It's hard to see because the model is quite small, but my model is where this camera is. So the sun in the side viewport looks like that in relation to the model. In the top viewport, again, hard to see because my model, this area is quite small, but it's where the camera is here. So the sun is around about just toward the front of the model, so you can tell by the sunlight on the side of the tree. And at about 11 o'clock in the morning. Again, looking at the camera view here, where the model is, where our scene is, in relation to where the sun is in the sky. Now, with all of that sort of thing, you adjust that in here. You can adjust it through the spinner here. You can move it around in the viewports, or you can move it in this dialog box here in your atmosphere. You can do it either way, whichever is easier for you to work with. And it's based on real sun position. You can actually load in real world location coordinates if you wanted a specific time of day to look exactly the same. Like you'd use that if you're on set for a film and you filmed your actors during the day in a specific location at a specific time, and you want to put, you're creating as the artist, a 3D artist, a background for that they're going to composite behind your actors in the foreground. You would use the real world coordinates and set the location to exactly wherever it was you filmed the scene, and that way the lighting would reflect what it looks like on the actors in the foreground. So anyone working in cinema and film, that's a really handy option to have here in Vue. We don't need to worry about it because we're not working with any live footage that we have to incorporate, so just something to be aware of if you are incorporating any live footage with rendered backgrounds. You can set real world locations here for your sun position and time of day. But one thing I do want to point out with the sun object, this softness value, it's a really nice option, and it's really, again, why Eon Vue is used a lot in cinema work for film, because they've really made working with live action footage and animate and rendered backgrounds really easy for people, for design studios. So yeah, if you are working with live footage, you want to create a rendered background for your live footage, that's a really handy option to have in the settings there in the atmosphere. But getting back to our scene here, with our sun object, you always want to make sure your softness setting is set at least at 2 to 3%. I'm going to set it at 3%. But it defaults to 0. Now what that's going to do is it's going to give you really harsh, unnatural looking shadows on your object, or your objects. So you always want to make sure that the sunlight object in your scene layer list here is set at least 3%. 2, 3, 4% is generally good, depending on the type of scene you're going for and the time of day. Don't soften it up too much, but you do want to soften it up just a little bit, otherwise you're going to get really harsh edge shadows, which doesn't look natural. I didn't do it prior to this because we were still setting the scene up. We're almost done setting the scene up. It's just a couple of more pieces that we have to put in. Like I want to put some flowers in the foreground, and then we have to put a background image in. So now is probably a good time to change that setting to soften up the sunlight a bit. Also here, you'll see our volumetric lights are turned on. That's if you want to have God rays in your scene, you can turn them on and off here. And that's so shadows. You generally don't ever want to turn off cast shadows on the sun because the sun will always cast shadows. So. But you can certainly turn off volumetric lighting if you're not going to be using volumetric lights.